delay. This has been due to some technical issues that we've been having. So once again, I want to welcome you all to SaffronSACAP's voiceover. For those of you who have joined us on our new day of Wednesday, thank you very, very much. Today, we aim to have a very interactive open house. And like I always like to do every week is to introduce myself and my team. So my name is Giz Ojiapo, and I am the Director for Programs for SaffronSACAP. Welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. It's nice to have you on board. And to our regulars, thank you for coming back. Without much ado, I'm going to introduce my team. Marcia, go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Master Eliza, and I'm responsible for youth coaching and engagement. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of our family. And tonight we expect to have a very interactive event talking all about Black history.
And I also have Tolu, who's one of our directors from across the waters in Nigeria. Tolu, can you please introduce yourself?
Tolu, all right. Hi, everyone. It's so good to have you back. Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. It's so good to have you back. My name is Toluloko Makiwa. I work with Saffron as the GF here in Nigeria as the Strategic Policy and Partnerships Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Tolu. And of course, we have on board our boss, CEO, Big Mama. Will you introduce yourself, please, Yem?
You're very funny, Giz. Very funny indeed. Hello everyone. My name is Yemi Obulu. I'm glad to be here. Glad that you're here too. It is going to be very interactive. I'm so looking forward to it. So many things that exciting and interesting to talk about today. Please feel free. It's open mic. We really want to hear from you. See how you feel about Black History Month. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good time.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. So as you've heard today, we will be talking about Black History Month. As we all know, October in the UK is specifically drawn towards the Black History Month, which is celebrated from the 1st of October to the 31st of October. Black History Month began obviously as a means of remembering the good things amongst the Black people of, within the diaspora, their history, good things about them, the successes, trying to identify with, some of their progress in their lives, progress from the history. And today what we're going to be doing is finding out what it is everybody knows about Black History Month. What does Black History Month mean to you? As we said, this is an open mic. It's a very interactive session. Please feel free to unmute yourselves. You can put your hands up and we'll let you have the floor. Put out your questions. If there's anything that you're not too sure about, this is the time that we do have people on the Zoom who would possibly be able to help you with some of your questions. So once again, we want to welcome you. This year's theme for Black History Month is actually about the African Americans and their right to be able to vote, to have a democratic vote. This is, yes, for African Americans in America. Obviously, because we are obviously based in the United Kingdom, what we will be looking at is what does Black History Month represent for those of us within the United Kingdom, for our families, for our children, in our workplaces, out on the streets. How does Black History Month affect or not affect you? Okay, so once again, we want to welcome you. If you have us on your social medias, please share so that those people who possibly have heard about us but don't know how to get at us can obviously pick up from your social medias. We've always said, #TogetherWeCan. The only time we can help each other is by sharing. So please share on your social medias so that others can take part in the interactive Zoom session. Thank you once again.
So who wants to let me talk about my experience of Black history, which is very what's very interesting is that I was born and brought up in the Caribbean. We didn't have a Black History Month. So moving to the UK, Black History Month was something different to me. Because as far as I'm concerned, growing up in the Caribbean, we are all black and we just celebrated ourselves all the time. There was no need to talk about Black history. So I found it a bit different, coming here where we have to make a point of talking about Black history because growing up in school, my history was Black. What I learned in school was Black history. I knew, where my ancestors came from. I knew the history. I knew the history of the Caribbean and the history of the world. That was my Black history. I knew about, great Americans and great Europeans, but we didn't make a point of letting it stand out. And one of the things that, puzzles me about the UK is why do we wait until October to celebrate Blackness? And why do certain groups of people link Black history to our past of slavery? We should be celebrating, slavery is not our history. As someone said the other day, slavery interrupted our history. It's not our history. So we need to educate the people around us that Black history is about celebrating us, our achievement. Think of all those people who went before us, who achieved so much, but no one got to know about them. The people who are achieving now that people don't know about them because they're not celebrated. So what we need to do when we go out into our workplace is just celebrate our Blackness all the time. Just be great about who we are, and let's not wait until October.
I agree with
Awesome.
you, Marcia. Because like when we had a couple of programs earlier on looking at identity, and if we as a people celebrate who we are all the time and make sure that we're telling our letting our younger ones or just within the families also appreciate who we are as a people, then maybe we would not have the issues where our young ones do not understand who they are and their identity. What, do you agree, or is it just me who's thinking that way? Is it backward thinking?
All you know, lots of young people within their families don't discuss their past, don't discuss their history. They
Hmm.
don't. You know, I don't think young people actually know about their ancestors unless we as parents educate them, or what they hear on the street. Sometimes they're not hearing the right thing, and because it's not taught in school as standard,
Mm.
they could be misguided, in terms of what Black history is. Now, when I remember my daughter once one day we were on the way to school, and I think at school that week they were talking about the past. It may have been Black History Month.
Mm.
So I have a friend who's European, and she just hyped up and she said, say the friend is called Mary. Said, Mom, so in the olden days, Auntie Mary didn't like us, did she? Because she's white and we're black.
Laughing my head.
So that was her understanding of Black history at that
Oh,
time.
wow. Oh, wow.
Instead of celebrating what we have brought to the table, our contributions to this world, it was about black and white.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And so that's when I thought, time for a lesson.
Oh, it is. I can
Yep.
imagine because I think when and that is why I don't understand why it has to be like October, like you said, every October, because when it comes and we start thinking, everyone's just talking about slavery. And I think we've got to pull more from that it wasn't just, yes, it might have a whole big bunch of that percentage of it was slavery, or the beginning of it, or the determinants of now. But it wasn't. It's not all about slavery. And that's why we picked out celebrating. We need to start celebrating the people that we are. You know, there's some very famous or infamous people who have done so many things that are not even recognized, let alone celebrated. It is.
Yeah,
I think you
I've
pulled out somebody who we wanted to highlight, a lawyer.
yes. Let me just quickly pull that up. I think I actually posted that earlier on today, and it really bothered me that, you know, such a person exists. I think the reason we're seeing this person now is because it's Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to, you know, draw on, in the past, let's say 6 months or 5 to 6 months, you know, we've been seeing all these television commercials, okay, where they've tried to put a balance, where we see a lot of Black people who are now, you know, running down a shopping aisle, waving one of their plastic cards, and it looks like it's, you know, that is not how I want us to be celebrated. When we talk of this person, and she was a lawyer, she was the first lawyer that came up in Lagos, which is the former capital of Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
And this lady, let me see if I can get out her name, because I just saved it so that I could talk about it today. Just bear with me, please. What did I say her name was? Okay, so basically she was actually one of the very first magistrates. Okay, what I'm trying to understand is, why is she being celebrated just this October? Why are we just hearing about her now? You know, it's I'm not saying that is a bad thing. What I'm just saying is it sets a very wrong precedence to celebrate these people only in October. You know, in my opinion, I think we should have heard about this person long time ago. You know, if we're discussing history for the history students in this country, if we can talk about Richard I and how he was discovered, or his bones were discovered in a parking lot, then we should also be speaking about this lady who was one of the first magistrates, and her name is Stella Thomas. She was born in Nigeria in 1906, and she was admitted to the inn, which is the Inns of Courts, which is like for the lawyers, or when you're called to the bar as a lawyer, a barrister. And she was called to the bar in 1933. So she was obviously the first female barrister for West Africa, you know. So obviously the way they would celebrate a QC, which is a Queen's Counsel in the United Kingdom, you know, is the way this person should be talked about in the history lessons in our schools, because a lot of our schools have Black children in them. So if it's okay to teach our kids about Henry VIII and his 8 wives, beautiful, but where's the balance? So you see, this is what I'm saying, that Black History Month, we have to change the narrative. I'm tired of hearing about slavery. I'm sure we've all watched Roots and its representation. We're done with that. We've moved on. We need to be celebrating the lawyers, the doctors, you know. As far as the United Kingdom is concerned, this was told to me by my father, and he said the first educationists from Africa was from the Yoruba tribe, who came to this country years ago. So many years ago. Now I'm opportune to work within my community. And I work in a particular community, and some of the people I'm working with now are in their 90s. And what they've always said to me is, yes, I know Lagos, I know Kaduna. They used to do a lot of business. We're talking about back in the 30s and the 40s. So this is people that were doing business back in Africa as early as the 30s and the 40s, our kids don't get to hear about that in history. But the way these gentlemen spoke to me about the trade they did in Lagos, in Kaduna, in the 30s and the 40s, they spoke with so much passion, so much love for the people they worked with. And you start asking, why is this not part of the school history curriculum? You know, but when it's negative, we hear it. So it's high time we started asking for a change in the way history is being relayed in our schools, for our youth, in the universities, for those who study, you know, along those lines. It's important that we get to understand, you know, yes, our heritage, but it's not just about where you came from. It's also about, you know, the mentors, because some of the youth of today, they don't have mentors that they can hold on to from our history. You know, I think if you look, Lewis Hamilton has just signed a partnership because he's worried that he seems to be the only person of color, the only Black person who is in his sport. Why is that so? You know, it's ridiculous. So it's high time we use Black History Month not just as a tool to teach us about slavery, but as a tool to teach us about the successes we have had, and we are still going to have in the future. You know, our youth and our community, we need to hear about the mentors. We need to hear about the people who have done so well and are still doing so well. There's no celebration, and that's what Black History Month needs to be about. And you're right, you know, talking about it only in October, for me, I understand you have specific months for specific events. I get that. But throughout the year too, we can still highlight what we highlight within Black History Month, you know. So I'm hoping that, you know, we can start turning things around by having these conversations, because from what you said, Marcia, earlier on, when your cousin or somebody asked Auntie Mary, so these people don't like us, you know, that seems to be the only narrative. There's a lot of negativity around it, and we need it to be a lot more of a positive spin, to get our kids interested. You know, I remember having to go into my children's primary school years ago during Black History Month. And to be honest, I felt like a monkey on show. You know, I wore my attire, obviously, just to showcase my children's heritage. And, you know, we're not talking of in the 50s, we're talking of very recently. And it was all like, oh, wow, ooh. And I thought, nah, you can't be that surprised to hear. One of them said, called my son's name and says, does he live in trees? And I thought, that's not even funny, because we know we've passed that. And then I was able to show them the house that was being built, you know, back home, and they were surprised. But do I blame the little child? No. You have to blame the education. They're not being educated, you know. I think what they're being shown of Africa, what they see as a representation of, you know, Africa during Black History Month, does not represent who we are or how we really live. And this goes for the Caribbean as well. So I think there is a lot to learn. There is a lot of awareness. And if anybody, like we said, is open mic, please, if anybody has anything they want to share about their experience with the Black History Month, maybe you're in schools, your teachers, please unmute yourselves and let us hear from you. Yeah?
Yeah, can I please say something?
Okay.
This is Roland.
Hi, Roland.
Hi. It's just a statement of things that I've observed. I mean, I've been here long enough to observe these things.
Yeah.
I think when they want to celebrate Black history, it's not financially or commercially to them. They don't gain much from it. the only thing that they gain from talking about Black people generally is negativity. Now, if you go to some of the war-torn countries in Africa, that's where the BBC wants to be, that's where Fox News wants to be, that's where CNN wants to be, because it makes them money. Now, talking about the beautiful things in the West Indies or in Africa does not make sense to them. There was a clip I saw on WhatsApp, and the clip was about where intellectual, rich, educated Nigerians or Africans live, and then compared it to where, quote unquote, rich Western people live, whether they live in the slums of the United Kingdom or the slums of the United States, and compared it. There's not much of a difference. There are rich and nice places in the West Indies where the rich live, where there's swimming pools, there's, you name it, they've got it in the West Indies, they've got it in Africa, and it's the same thing in the Western world. For those of us who've been living in the Western world for such a long time, we do know about these things. So that's why we need to educate some of our West Indian people and some of our Africans who've never been outside of the continent. For those of us who've been outside of the continent, it's not a big deal to us. So when a Caucasian man comes to Nigeria, for those who've never left Nigeria, they go bananas because they've never seen a man like that. And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing in the West Indies. But for those of us who've been in the United Kingdom, who's traveled out, traveled on wide, it's not a big deal. So we need to educate them as much as we can. Another good example, I love football. And for those who know me, I'm a Liverpool supporter. So I'll join all those ladies on this panel who are into football, join the club, love my club as well. Now, that's just been digressing from the issue.
There you go.
Arsenal.
Right. I remember when John Barnes was playing for Liverpool years ago. Now, he also played for England, for those of you who may not know. Now, England played against Brazil, and he scored a wonderful goal. For about another 10, 15 matches for England, John Barnes never scored. And for every time the commentator runs the commentaries on John Barnes, they refer to him as the West Indian. When he wasn't scoring for England. But the day he scores for England, it became the British born. You know, these are the things that we've noticed. I mean, if I'm talking about John Barnes, many of you might be thinking, hey, this guy must be really old. You know, but it is what I see. It is what our children don't see that we've noticed. Hopefully, by the time like my 15-year-old daughter starts having children, things may change, but it may be too late because they have not been educated as well. We were not educated enough to know about what's going on. And like Marcia said, no one calls me a nigger in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I've always, everybody around me is black. So why would I'm celebrating my dad, my mom, my auntie, my uncle, my aunt, my sister, my friends, they're all black people, you know? So it's just what I've noticed and what has been going on in the UK. And like Giz said, we need to put things in the curriculum for children and our kids to learn about. Rather, it's crumbs by celebrating Black History Month every October. Those are crumbs. For seeing ethnic minorities now on TV doing things, or those are crumbs. I don't want to see that. I don't want that. I want you to put things in the curriculum to learn about Black people. That's just my observation. That's just what I think. And I'm sorry to rant on and on.
Thank you. That's fine. It's an open mic, so that's cool. Thank you, Roland.
But you said some really tangible things, and I think it's wow. It is crumbs, you know. It's why suddenly it's like we have the quota system, and I know we used to have that. We probably still have it in the north of Nigeria, where you work in a place. Let's come back to where we are here now. In this country, there is a quota that, okay, you need to represent certain amounts of Black people, and I'm generalizing all of us, same color. Black people, a percentage should be employed in a workplace. Just obviously, like, you should take into account people living with disabilities. But it's okay. There are all there isn't a white female doing this. I'm sorry, there isn't a Black female doing this. There isn't a Black female doing that. Why does it have to be? Why not? There are a lot of Black Africans who are very high-end professionals, as I call them, high-end professionals, who can fit into roles, but then are they not being employed because of their skin, or are they then being employed because they just need to fill in the gaps? What is it? I need someone to help me here, because it bothers me a lot sometimes. You know, we've had lovely, awesome people, first Black female politicians like Diane Abbott and so many others, and we celebrate them. You know, it took a lot of guts to go in there and do that. But why does it have to be that we need to be counting them? Why aren't there more of us doing more of these important roles?
It's interesting you said that, because in the workplace, and we do it as Black people because that's how it is. We go into a boardroom for, a board meeting, and we count ourselves.
Mm.
It's like that. How many of us are representative around this table who are senior managers? We count ourselves. And in this day and age, that is still very sad
Mm.
that we are not represented. Think of the NHS. Look at the NHS.
Mm.
Look how many ethnic minorities we are who are nurses.
Mm.
But you know what I'm finding? They get to a certain band,
And they stop.
and that's where they stop.
Exactly.
I work in a very, well-known NHS trust, and it's not many Black people are of a certain band. When you look at the nurses and the ward sisters, majority of them are Black, but somehow they don't pass that stage.
Wow.
NHS England, we have all about our, diversity, this and diversity, and we're championing it, but still we're not getting past certain positions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get past that position, and then you spend the rest of your time watching your back.
Yes. Yes.
You're working every day, but you've got to cover all bases all the time.
Yes. What we call paper trailing, isn't it?
Yes. It's just
Funny,
interesting.
Marcia, as you talk about, with the NHS and the nurses, I look at the legal entity within the United Kingdom. Do we have any Black judges in this country? How many Black people do you know go on to study law, and that's it? I've had an opportunity to go to several courts. I can count, with one hand, how many Black lawyers. I mean, I've never seen a Black judge. Do we have a QC that is a Black person? I could be wrong. And honestly, if I'm wrong, if we've got any of our Facebook family on, if we've got anybody who is on the Zoom, please correct me, and I will stand to be corrected. I was speaking to one of the young boys that I mentor, and he's actually currently doing his A-levels, very, very bright young lad. And he said something to me, and he said, "Auntie, I'm not going to stop because I want to be the first Black judge in the United Kingdom. And I thought, well, you know, are you sure there isn't a Black? He said, Auntie, I've done my research. You know, this worries me because, you know, we all know, you know, education is a very strong point within the African and the Black community. We know this. So we would not be, we would not fall short by finding, you know, one or two people who could go all the way, you know. So it's not for want of trying. I'm sure we have so many people who have probably tried to get up there, but something is blocking. And this is when you talk about Black History Month, these are the issues I want to hear being discussed. You know, I want to know why we don't have any person of color that is representing us there. I want to know when I step into the board of directors at XXY Bank, why we don't have any, you know, directors sitting on the table of color. You see, it's okay to put us in commercials and in some, you know, third-rated soap on the television, but that is not what we are talking about here. We're talking about, we want to find ourselves in better representation. We want to be at the top. You know, we want to be where we can have a voice and create an impact within our community. And I think this is what Black History Month within the United Kingdom needs to focus on. But what they keep doing is taking us all the way back to slavery and telling us, oh, how wonderful you people have come out. We don't care about that. Well, it's not that we don't care. We do care that we've come out from it, but we don't care to be hearing the same cracked record all the time. You know, so if we do have any Black judges within the United Kingdom, please shout them out. You know, let's get in touch with them. If we have a QC, which is one of the highest whatevers of judges within the United Kingdom, please shout them out because it would be nice. And I want to stand to be corrected. You know, for somebody to say, no, Giz, we do have. That would make my day, my night, you know. So basically what we're trying to say here tonight on Saffron is, you know, what is Black History Month? What does it mean to you? You know, how can we change the narrative? Yeah? How can we change the narrative? If there's anybody on here that knows or feels there is a way in which, or has any suggestions, please, you know, speak up. Let's hear from you. That's what we're about. We're about change. We're about doing things, you know, in such a way that we create an impact. So please, come on.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I just want to say one or two things. In terms of the positions of authorities, so say like in the NHS and places like that, I think it goes back to the fact that there's institutional racism. That's what I think the major problem is. As a race, you know, and I'm very proud to be Black. I think the Lord has blessed us so much. We're such an intellectual, amazing race that I think they even, I'm sorry to use the word, I feel that they're scared, you know, that if we get to certain positions, it becomes a problem. So I think that they use that as a barrier to hold us down because we're extremely smart people, you know, in every race of life. And what I've tried to do with my children and those around them, especially the younger generation, is I say to them, because I don't know if everybody else agrees with me, there's certain professions that I think the Lord has blessed, you know, Black people. Music, you know, we're extremely good. In sports, we're very good. You know, I don't know how to sing gospel music and things like that. And so I say to them, and there's so many examples I can pick at, and I say, look at this person. I don't rate Black history whatsoever because I don't have a clue what they're on about. They just say the same thing like we say. We go into the school, we put on our tires, and they say, bring an African dish. What is that? You know,
exactly.
That is not doing anything, and so I try to teach them at home, and I say, I mean, what's the young man who just died recently? It's the guy who did Black Panther. So I just bring examples like that. Those are things that the younger generation, they probably won't be able to remember as far back as, I don't know, how about Macaulay and things like that. I know about that, and I've tried to teach them that. But because it's a growing generation, you know what I mean? There's so many even young examples that they can be teaching them, not Kunta Kinte, because I told my daughter that she doesn't have a clue who that is. But each time we go there, it's the same thing. My daughter's in college now. Or when can your mom bring an African dish? And I said, I'm not going there to take an African dish. I'm sorry. What is that teaching them? They're not teaching them anything. But I think with when you were talking about the NHS, because I've known that for years, I think they're scared. They're scared that if we get to places of authority, we will change the narrative. And so that's the way of keeping us in control. They're scared. It's almost not wanting, thinking, oh, they might take over. I don't know what they think it is, but I think it's a fear.
Right.
That's my honest opinion. They're scared. I'm not quite sure why, because we're only there to contribute and make it better, but they don't see that as they see it as a takeover, I think.
Yeah.
And so they stop us from doing that. Yeah.
Thank you, Vivian. That's very that's interesting. I like, the fact that you said they see it as a takeover, but when you think about the fact that they push diversity down our throats at every opportunity, what's so diverse about the fact that you are not teaching our children, what they need to hear about Black History Month? You're right. They keep asking me, when are you bringing the food you brought the last time? Well, no, I'm not. I did it once.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it for the next 2 years until the rest of the kids finish at the school. I thought that I did it every year, and every year I went to Black History Month. It was the same thing. Nothing changed. And I think that I haven't been to one for years now. Obviously, the kids have grown. But it's interesting to hear from anybody whose children are still in secondary school or primary school, to see how they are celebrating Black History Month now at this present point in time. When you look at everything that's going on in the world, it would be amazing to see if they have changed the narrative. So if we have anybody that's got kids in schools at the moment, I'd love to be in school actually this October, just to be a part of one of those lessons, if they'll let me in.
You're showing our ages by asking us to raise our hands and disclose that we don't have children in those classes at the moment.
It could be your grandchildren. It could be your children. It could be your grandchildren.
I mean, my granddaughter is in primary school at the moment, and I don't know if it's because of coronavirus. They haven't done anything so far.
Yeah.
To do with Black history so far.
Right.
She hasn't, because she's come home and I've said, so what? She's like, Nanny, they don't even know what they're doing in the school at the moment, let alone Black history. It's like, everything is here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
So she hasn't done anything so far. We're going into week 2.
Right.
They're not doing anything. I'm a friend of mine who's a school teacher. I asked her.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not actually celebrating properly this year, because they don't know if they're going to be in school one day from the other. In her school, they've just sent home years 2, 3, 4, and 5 because the PE teacher was COVID positive, so they can't, they can't plan. So it's not happening.
Difficult.
But you're talking about experience in schools. I was fortunate that my children went to a school where it was predominantly Black. I chose it. It was an independent school, so I predominantly chose that. So Black history was every day for us.
Yeah.
So the non-Black children who attended our school, they had no choice.
Yeah.
Because Black history was every day in our school. So what we did around Black History Month, we celebrated our inventors, the Black inventors.
Right.
The different types of Black music. So that's, you know, that it was standard because we knew that they wouldn't get that in mainstream school. So that was constant, you know, in that school where, and yes, we took our dishes in, but we were all of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were all of the same. So no one came and said, what's that?
Yeah.
How do you cook it? Because we're all
Oh.
of the same. So I think that I was privileged in that sense because I chose that. And then
Yeah.
when they moved to secondary school, they were grounded enough to know who they were
Who
and
they
who they
were.
are, you
Yeah.
know, and not having to get into that
Yeah.
sort of realm. And when I did join the PTA at that secondary school, no, I put my stamp on it. You know, I marked that.
Yeah.
Sure you did.
I'm not coming here and being the only one, not
Yeah.
standing out. So we had our PTA was well represented.
Okay.
We made sure black was celebrated.
It was celebrated
That
all the
brings
time.
And
that
then it's what we were saying in a couple of sessions before. It's about us
it's
as parents engaging.
age. Exactly.
You
Exactly.
engage. They've got no choice. You're there.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know, you
Would
go
like
in
to
there
say
and
that. Yeah.
you wear what you want to wear. You wear your black stuff. You play your black music. You have an event. You know, if you're putting on a talent show, make sure that when those kids get on the stage, they're representing black.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
don't water it down.
Yeah. It's just like there was a case, an incident. I think it was in one of the East London schools where the child, a young girl, was told not to come to school with her afro hair. Now that was her
Mm.
natural hair. It wasn't the wigs that we wear. It wasn't she hadn't put any chemicals to straighten. It was her natural kinky hair. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute. So when a Caucasian gets up from bed, combs their hair, gets into school, they're not told to go home and change their hair. But then a black person comes with her natural hair, and we all know without all this and without the chemicals, our hair is nappy, right? It's natural. Our hair is kinky. That's how our natural hair is. You know, to be told you can't have your hair like that in school, you know, I sat there and I was mortified, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, what do you want the person to do? You know, so this is what I'm saying. But what do we where do we hold this? Is it because there's no awareness? You know, does the school need to be, you know, taught about the different styles of hair of the black race? Do you understand?
Mhm.
Thank you, Vivian. Vivian has to go now. Thanks for your contribution, Vivian. Thank you so much.
You.
On next week, Wednesday. So we'll see you next week Wednesday
Absolutely.
to continue.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Oh,
All right. Have a
Love
good
you all. Thank
Thank
you.
you
bye,
so much.
Vivian.
Bye,
Bye.
Vivian.
Bye. So yeah, that's what we're saying. You know, it's what you said, Marcia. Parents, get involved. If you don't like what is happening in your children's school relating to Black History Month or not, if you're not part of the PTA, if you're not part of the governor's board, if you don't attend meetings, you're not in there, you can't impact. You understand? You can't make that change. You can't enforce. I'd always sent my daughter to school with her hair braided. They tried to tell me right from reception, they tried to tell me, oh, mum. I said, no, forget it. That is how we do our hair. So it's the same way you shave yours as a skinhead. I braid my child's hair. Hello, you know, everybody has their, so that's what we're saying. These are the things Black History Month should be addressing. You know, we should be celebrating, like you said, you taught the kids about musical mentors, people who they probably didn't know within our Black history who did music. You know, when you listen to people like Bob Marley, when you listen to people like Fela, they sang, but they were very educated messages within their songs. How many of our children know this? What they know is the person used to smoke cannabis. That is not important. Listen to the songs. Some of the songs were very educated. Some of the songs talked about, you know, real life issues. But we were taught to study the negative within these two people and not raise them positively. And this is what Black History Month has to do. We need to learn to teach our youth, you know, the positives of the people within, you know, from our past, from our present, and upcoming, because the youth of tomorrow, they are in 20 years' time, they will be celebrated during Black History Month. You know, so like we said, you know, as parents, as mentors, as wards, as guardians, we need to get in the schools. We need to get involved. Always said you can be very assertive, very polite, but we've also said do your research. So when you go into the schools, know what your debate is going to be about. When you engage, why are you there? What are you hoping to achieve, you know, by going into the school? You know, just don't go in blindly. No, you need to do your research, know what the school is not doing, see if there are ways in which you can engage with the school and say, look, do you need my help? Where can I come in? Would you like me to come in once or twice a day and speak to the children? You know, these are ways in which we as parents, as guardians, as carers for our children, this is how you create and make an impact. There's no point standing outside in the playground making noise. That doesn't change anything. Approach the head, approach the PTA. Sometimes what you will find is that they actually have no awareness, they don't understand. And nobody can knock somebody for not knowing. It's different when you try to educate and they don't want to know. That's different. So please, let's see if we can also make the difference. Because I don't think moaning about a situation and not doing anything about a situation, that doesn't change the situation. Yeah. So we're looking at, by the time we come back next year to celebrate Black History Month, they won't be asking us to bring in soup and to bring in food.
Or jollof rice.
Jollof rice.
rice and peas.
See, we bring in all these foods and they still go and make them in a different way, and they'll be selling it in the supermarkets, making more money than those of us that know how to make jollof rice.
Don't start.
You understand? They will take our cloth and stick a designer name on it and sell it for £20,000 more than it was sold. But it's our cloth. You know, our Ankara is what we use to tie. You know, you go into Bond Street and you see it being sold for like 1,005. How much is Ankara in the market? So you see, we've got to be a bit smart. We've got to wisen up, you know, but the only way we can do that is coming together.
It's interesting, as you said, it just suits other races to take what they want from Black culture, from Black history. You know, they want to have the big lips like us, you know. It just suits them to take, but not appreciate and celebrate what Black means.
Exactly.
You know, I was just, as you were talking about, I was going on about professionals. A friend of mine has a sister who is a very senior detective, and I don't think there are any more like her.
Right.
So she turned up at a venue for a young person. So the social worker had to turn up, the detective had to turn up, and someone else. So she got to reception, and they just totally ignored her, of course. She was Black. So she sat there.
Oh.
So the person called down and said, "Is the what she said? Oh, is the detective there yet?" And she said, "No, only the social worker."
What if?
And did the detective say? She said, "I didn't say anything. I sat there."
Good.
And then half an hour later, when it was all very late,
Mm-hmm.
asked the question again: "Is the detective there?" She said, "No, just a social worker." And then she said, "Okay," I got up and said, "Well, the detective has been here for about 45 minutes, but he did not ask who I was.
Whew.
So now the meeting is running late because of you."
Whew. Yeah.
So you see what that is? So only Black social workers, yes?
Stereotyping as
You,
well, isn't it?
Stereotyping.
you couldn't be a senior detective and a woman and Black.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just amazing, you know. I mean, I've had experiences at work as well where I'll be walking on the corridor with my white colleagues, and the person to be addressed as the manager would be the white colleague, not the
Yeah. Not
person. And many a times I see that happen, I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? I don't have to educate you. I don't have to educate you. You make a fool of yourself.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
And
just sad. It's really sad.
it is sad.
It's really
It is
sad.
sad.
And I know Mercy and I have worked for quite a few years in some places, and it's just so typical. It's just so typical. We sit at a table, and it's just me and her looking across at ourselves, and there's nothing else to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll walk into the room. We've had that, you know.
Yeah.
We've had people walk. Actually, yes.
Oh, we've had
But
that so many
someone
times, me and you.
walk into the room and looking for the white boss.
They're looking for the development chief and all of them places. And it's like, hello,
Yeah.
we're sat here. It's sad.
But
Yes,
this is
but
what we're
it is.
saying. This is what we're saying, you know, honestly, and it's not saying every organization.
Oh, not at all.
But honestly, the percentage is still quite high of where this is still happening, and it's got to stop. But it's, for me, I have a problem because it's filtering down from organizations to universities to schools. And what this is doing is stopping us as a race, as a community, as a society from getting to where we know we can get to. You know, and it's like Vivian rightly said before she left, it seems as if there is an element of fear in opening those doors or gates for us to get there, you know.
And see, how do we empower us?
Yeah.
How do we empower us to celebrate us? And that's what we need as well, because you know, it's not everyone is bold and confident enough to say, I'm here.
Yeah.
So it's about a community as well, us as a community.
Yes. How do we celebrate
Supporting
us?
each
I love that.
other to empower us to just celebrate us.
Us.
And then when we have that confidence to celebrate us, we can then empower our young people to celebrate themselves as well.
Yes.
You know, I think we need to celebrate us more. There are people I know. I will pull Yemisi Jenkins MBE out here. She is one person. She's one person I know that celebrates within our communities, people who are achieving. She will call you out. I was just trying to go through her post and look at the lady who's let me see if you can please mention this lady for me. She's become the deputy director. Oh, somewhere. I don't know if it's the.
No. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, ladies. Sorry, my picture is not on. I am tired. I've been up since
That's fine. That's fine.
8:30. Her name is Linda Obiemiwe. She's the new chief operating officer for DWP.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quiet, but you know, I had to say to her that, Linda, I'm sorry, I'm not keeping quiet like I normally don't do, because she's not, if you look for her, she's not anywhere. She will come up on, so she's not even on LinkedIn, as professional as she is. But if you type in her, like I told her, I said, Linda, you know what, type in your name on Google, you will see your name there as your role in, you know, your roles across HMRC, Home Office.
What do you say?
And, you know, when she called me, I said, sis, you know, this is it. Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, you said her full name was
Giz.
Yeah, her full name. I didn't get the full name.
Linda. Her first name is Linda.
Yeah.
Her second name is Obiemiwe. Obiamiwe. Let me check that.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me check that. Hold on. And we have so many people across, you know, says, yes, Obiamewe.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, I need to, she resumed work because she was like, no, don't put it out. I said, well, when you resume office on the 1st, you won't have a choice, because by the time people Google COO of PWP, there's no hiding place for you anymore. But you see that I think it also goes, okay, they have changed it.
Oh,
We're not hearing you very well. You're cutting out.
that's a shame.
Hopefully, are you back?
Let me see, you cut out.
So yes, yes.
We're gonna have to pick you up somewhere. Move around the house a little
opened
bit.
a Black History Month in the
Okay, what we'll do, we'll let you maybe move around the house and get a better reception, and we'll come back to you, because it would be amazing to hear a little bit more. Like we said, it's important that we learn to celebrate and empower each other. This is Black History Month, and obviously, if this lady has been appointed newly, you know, part of me is thinking, you know, this should be celebrated all over within the UK, and it hasn't really been. I mean, I've just typed her name on Google. She's actually top of the Google list.
Yeah, Franga, yeah.
That's not celebration enough as far as I'm concerned. This needs to be shouted from the rooftop because it's an amazing achievement. So yeah, this is what we're talking about. We need to, and thank you for that, Yemisi, because she's gone off now, but Yemisi always does, you're right, Yemi, she does celebrate people, because I'm her friend also on social media. And I get to see that. So this is what we need to learn to do as a people. We need to learn to celebrate each other. We need to learn to empower each other to move forward, you know, and it's part of SaffronSACAP's, one of our initiatives. You know, I keep saying it, hashtag together. Okay, Yemisi, are you back?
Yeah, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, ladies. So what I was saying was that what I do, well, what I did then, which we now do a lot, is because a lot of people, when you talk about Black history, I think somebody was saying it, my internet is unstable, about only they talk about the slave trade, and I'm like, yes, I acknowledge that. I'm not playing it down, but we existed before slave trade. I beg.
Yeah.
The Mansa Musas, the Amina of Zaria, you know, and all of that. And there's a young lady on Ike something or Ike on LinkedIn from day one. She started posting pictures of people, Black people, you know, especially African people, and what they were pre-colonial times. And that's where we need to move to. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Yemisi mentioned something that I really wanted to
Thank
well,
you.
I think
I'll mute myself now.
That's okay.
Oh, that's all right. Yemisi mentioned, thank you so much, Yemisi, and you mentioned something that I was talking about earlier, I think before we came on air, is that there's so much in our history that has not come forth, that people do not know. We talked about, I think we were talking about how the Yoruba were moved during slavery down to Jamaica, and we're talking about the words that still remain within the language. Is it Jamaica? It is Jamaica, within Jamaican vocabulary. There are words like we use, you know, like Nigeria, Yoruba, we like to repeat things like mumu.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so surprised because I went researching these things and I found out that words like those exist in Jamaica. Mumu, poto, whatever such places like Abeokuta. There's a Nago town, and the village of Abeokuta was more commonly known as Bekuta in Hanover. So these are things that it really intrigues me, that there is that connection. So when we think that we're different, we're not different at all. We're so glued together. We just need to find that connection and hold on to that link. I know that a lot of the Brazilians as well are connected to Lagos, to Lagosians. And so obviously the Jamaicans come that their Belkuta or your Odudua are linked into with Jamaicans. So it's amazing finding and interesting when you dig into the history. And I was also saying that I'm a Zaria girl through and through. I'm a proper Zaria girl, and I have this um great interest in Queen Amina of Zaria, Zozo. And it's just amazing that a woman in her time led wars, you know. It's like the English what's that lady of is it
The suffragettes.
she was a warrior. She
Yes,
led
but
men
you can. I mean, in comparison to
to
the
that.
suffragettes in UK who led. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it might be something that we will talk about next week and celebrate, or the week after as it comes, and celebrate these women who have achieved, and see if we can pick up 10, 10 women come way back up to where we are, and look at their achievements so far. It's just great.
Yeah. That's Yeah, that's a very good one. And based following on from what Yemisi said about Linda Obiamiwe, it's amazing to see that within our community, great things are happening. What's very sad is these great things are not being shouted
Yeah,
you
they're not being celebrated.
at all, at all. I would have loved to have seen. It's a massive post. It should have been on Sky. You know, um, we've got to get to a stage where if they aren't going to celebrate us, we celebrate ourselves. You know,
Absolutely, yeah.
we and it's not, we mustn't be scared. Jacqueline's raising her hand. Jacqueline, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Welcome, Jacqueline. It's lovely to have you on. You're always here. Good evening,
Thank you.
Jacqueline.
Thank you. Good evening, Giz. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, everyone. I've been listening with rapt attention and never like missing these meets because I always find that somehow we're all enriched by listening to each other. And so Vivian left before I was able to, she asked a question. She said she doesn't know why there's the fear of the Black man.
Yeah.
And there is, she was like, maybe she just wanted to be politically correct when she said she doesn't know, but there's like a fear. But I am saying that there's a real fear. The fear is real. And at this time, more than ever in our history, it's very palpable. Now, if just so that we're enriched by this, I also try to find out why. And there's a serious fear of white genocide. They believe that at the rate at which Black people are reproducing and all of that, you might call it conspiracy theories, but these are things you could actually go and research, that the Black man would eventually overrun the earth. And then secondly, there's also this thing about civilization having started in Africa, and that as the earth revolves, as time goes on, it will, the paradigm will shift again. And this time around, it will be the Black race ruling. So enough of that. These are theories that we could argue about and, just have fun trying to find out why there's this fear. What have we done to deserve this fear? Because, they come from us. I think that has been proven, that the white people actually evolved because Black people who left the continent and other places that broke off from the continent shifted into regions where the weather was more temperate. And so because of that, because of the natural survival instinct of man, they evolved to be able to adapt to the areas in which they found themselves. So like I said, enough of that. But for me, I think the bigger conversation in all of this, and I think that this is not something that is peculiar to people or Black people living in Western countries. I think that we are also helping in killing who we are. Why do I say this? Even for us in Nigeria, how many of us have kids who can actually speak our dialects the exact way we know how to speak it? And so you would find that gradually we're becoming a people who find that we must communicate with our children in English. I'm telling you this as someone who is living in Nigeria and who is facing the same problem. I wake up one day and just find out that I cannot have a coded language with my children. I cannot be in a place and say to my child, go and do this, and they would have 100% comprehension of what I am trying to say to them. Would you cast your mind back and remember the time when your parents could actually speak to you by just looking at you? By just looking at you, they would pass a message. But now we have children that you're looking at them, you're trying to speak to them, trying to code it, but they say, Mom, what? And so it's funny, yeah, but this is part of what we're doing to ourselves. They gave us the English language, the French language, and the German language, or should I say Dutch. And somehow all Black people, depending on what country colonized you, you find that you want your children to speak impeccable French, Dutch, or English. Well, as the case is, very soon we'll be adding Mandarin to that with what is going on in Africa right now. Secondly, if we don't delve into our past and write our own history, who do we expect to write it for us? It's interesting that my dear sister Yemi was talking about being a Zaria woman. And yes, you know, Zaria, you talk about Zaria, the first thing that comes up, or you want to Google Zaria, chances are you might see Queen Amina. But did you know that right now there's a narrative that Amina was a myth? I don't know where it started from, but you're free to Google it. You will find Queen Amina a myth. And so there seems to be a gradual and very deliberate deconstruction of who we are as Black people. And you know what they say? They say until the lion learns to tell the tale of the hunt, the story will always glorify the hunter. And so how many historians do we have? How many people are willing to tell the story from the aspect of or from the perspective of the Black man? And so for me, there's a lot that, you know, when we're talking, like in Africa, we don't even celebrate our Blackness. This seems to be something for people who live, Black people who live in Western countries. And it's sad because if you don't celebrate yourself, who in the world is going to celebrate you? I mean, if we even had to be critical about this, one would say, oh, the white man has even been magnanimous to set aside just a month to recognize that, yes, okay, so there are Black people in our midst. We don't celebrate ourselves. We don't do it in our homes. And we certainly don't do it on the continent. So these are just a few things for me that I feel that, you know, I should put out there, hopefully to trigger a conversation that will go way beyond this meeting, and probably trigger actions too. Because for me, I am almost starting too late, but I'm trying my best to ensure that every conversation right now, because I think we've had enough of English in my house. And so every conversation now, yes, because
Yeah.
my children, I mean, like if 10 years from now, they have their own children, what are they going to pass on to their children when they themselves are deficient in the Yoruba language? And by the way, I'm even married to an Ogori person. So that makes it even deeper. It goes beyond Yoruba now into Ogori, and none of it, they don't have it. They don't have it. It's sad. Thank you once again. Always a joy to be with you guys. Not looking my best. That's why my video is off, Giz. I know you say don't come into my house and cover your face.
I will let you off this week.
Thank you
No,
so
it's always a pleasure to have you, Jacqueline, and you always contribute. Insights are always amazing. So thank you. Let me see, Jenkins, MBE, you have your hand up. So I'm going to ask you to unmute and go ahead. Let me see, you there?
I understand. Thank you.
Hello. Yes, I'm back. I just wanted to sorry, the lady who spoke last.
Yes, that was Jacqueline.
Sorry, what's her name?
Jacqueline.
Oh, Jacqueline. First, you know, regarding children not speaking their dialects or their language or whatever it is you want to call it, I think that is that's a shame on some parents. I'm sorry, my children can speak. I mean, it goes to a point whenever I'm talking to my nieces and nephews in Nigeria, and I'm like, well, what is all this rubbish? And I said to people, it's inferiority complex on the part of Nigerians. What is it? You don't want to speak your language. You want to, even the ones that have never been to the airport, you hear them twisting their tongue as if, and it's very annoying. I get very upset about it, and I don't know what it is. And I even hear that some parents even pay for their kids to be taught, you know, phonetics in some stupid, funny ways that doesn't add any value to their lives. I'm sorry, this really, really, really upsets me. And you know, I don't understand it. And I say to people, if you look at the Asian community, they have the economic power. They speak their language. What is wrong with Nigerians? It's inferiority complex as far as I'm concerned. So that I don't spare anything for parents who choose to make their children inferior by thinking that speaking English or speaking it in a certain way gives them anything. It doesn't add any value to your life, trust me. Number two, what was it? In terms of the narrative, yes, you're right. Now, I don't know, has anybody listened to Dr. No, he's not a doctor, he's a prof, I think he's a prof now, David Olusoga. You need to go and listen to him. And one of the things, I'll share a YouTube link before the end of on here, or I'll send it to, if I can, you know, I'll send it. It's on my work, whatever, but it's on YouTube, so it's not anything that I cannot share. Now, one of the things he talked about history is that it's not as if you don't have them. You don't have enough of Black people studying history because they're discouraged. Now, I can tell you for free that one of the things that we're doing in the Home Office is that we now have our Black staff telling us history as it is. Now, I've always known about Mary Seacole. I knew at some, well, I got to know eventually that she even did better than Florence Nightingale. But of course, Florence was promoted more than Mary Seacole. Mary Seacole is mixed, half English and half Jamaican, but she sort of, you know, more identified as a Black person. Now, it was obvious, apparently it was obvious that Florence Nightingale did not want to share the stage with another Black woman. So, and Florence Nightingale had people in high places. So the story of Mary Seacole was sort of subdued. So it was only recently that people more people started talking about Mary Seacole. I think we now have a statue in, is it St. Thomas's or one of the hospitals? If you come into, we actually have a building in the Home Office called Mary Seacole Building. So you're right. You know what I say? This, I'm sorry. This is why I have kept quiet. This is something I'm very passionate about. I say to people, nobody can tell my story more than me. Now, a lot of us, unfortunately, we one of the things that we do that we don't know, or maybe we know, but we're just, we don't care. And then later we now start thinking about it, is even the way you portray Nigeria to your children. The way some of us portray the continent to our children, they don't even want to have anything to do with the continent. But I'm so glad that our young ones, and this was another thing that David highlighted, that it's so interesting that even this movement of Black Lives Matters, the younger ones, the younger generation are more active. And talking to my 22 and my 20-year-old, their own narrative is different, and they're like, I'm not going to let David's book, yes. So going back to, let me just wrap up. We have a lot of work to do. When I opened that Black History Month, in fact, one of the narratives that me, Oluwayemisi Jenkins, I'm changing is, I am not a Black woman, I'm an African woman, okay? Now, if you go back to the history of why we're being called, why Black and white, is oppression. It's part of oppression, because Black is synonymous to dirt, evil, and all the worst things, and white is holy, godly, and all that. So it is still part of oppression. So I say there is no Black person, there is no white person. Even the Sudanese people, as dark as they are, if you put them beside your jackets, they are not the same color. So if anything, if you're going to describe us, you describe us as chocolate color. And chocolate is sweet. So why didn't they choose to describe us as chocolate? Because they know that if they describe us as chocolate, then people will love us. But if you describe us as Black, and we have accepted that as, evil, everything Black is evil, everything Black is dirty, everything Black is, I'm sorry, you don't let me talk when it comes to talks like this, because it really, really gets to me. And then last but not least, somebody then asked him, okay, with all of this, why did you accept? Because he's got OB, I've got MB. Why accept OB? And he said, you see, the thing is, when you look at these things, and this was what I said when I accepted it, was that you have to have some power to be able to do things and implement some changes. Now, when you hear Yebisi Jenkins MB, even people who don't know me, they're like, oh, and then when I write, so that he said, so he said he's called the likes of, I mean, look at Sir Henry, Henry, or whatever. He said, if he was just Henry or whatever, nobody, but when you get a letter from Sir Henry, you have to respond to it now. You don't have a choice. So I just needed to add that to it. So because before somebody would say, oh, with the empire, British Empire, why accept it? There's certain things you need to accept so that it gives you that leverage to be able to use that power to challenge and change the existing narrative. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Taiwo had his hand up. Taiwo, are you there? Can you unmute? Hi, Taiwo.
Good evening. Good evening, all my beautiful people, my wonderful people. I have missed every single one of you.
Ah, we've missed you too.
I'm serious. I keep beating myself up. Oh, I missed it again. So I just responded to your thing, Yemi, and I thought you'd be done for today. I think I was out in the car at the time. Oh God. So I've got so much on my chest I want to get off, and it's not all related to this topic. So just tell me to stop when I've got to stop.
I will.
Who's that beautiful lady in yellow? That I'm on my phone, so I don't see everybody in one go.
That's fine. That's one of the directors, Tolu. But yeah.
Oh, hi, Tolu. So, yeah, so much. So,
hi, good evening, Mr. Taiwo. Good evening.
Hi, Tolu Lokwe Makiwa. Nice to see you. Yeah. So, the first thing where I want to start, first of all, is we need to define our own parameters of success, our own parameters of wealth, well-being, we need. I was on a meeting about a week ago or so, and obviously because we're all working in this disjointed pandemic era, it was a meeting that was on Zoom. But if it was one where I was across in the office from the boss's office, it was one of those meetings where I would have been called into the boss's office. Okay, so and the meeting went something like, "Oh, people say you are aggressive. People say you're this." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "Who defines what the scale of calmness, I said, to aggression? Who defines what that scale is? You know, I teach. You don't want passion. They just put out a job ad asking for passionate teachers. You don't want people that are passionate about what they teach. How are you going to inspire the next generation? And if you have someone who is naturally passionate about what they teach, and you get all this positive feedback from students, is that not a good thing? But you know that, and if that person is genuinely a passionate person about the subject, you will find that they are passionate about most things. But if you choose, maybe because of the color of their skin or whatever, or maybe they have just a big imposing personality or physique or whatever, if you choose to then interpret that as aggression, then it's not a problem of that person. It's the problem of you who thinks that everybody should speak at a certain level with a certain, should have a certain limited dynamic range in their voice. TD Jakes once said one of those things he did with Oprah. He said, that there are a lot of people out there that are only capable of receiving pint-sized love. Oh, look, as if I knew. I didn't even know. Pint size, yeah, that's the measure of love that some people can receive. But there are other people that have gallon capacity. Okay. I'm a gallon capacity person in everything I do. So when I come with my gallon of whatever it is I have to pour into people's lives, and this is all they came to collect, you can imagine how they feel. So yeah, so absolutely, so I mean, what's worth doing at all is worth doing well. What's worth doing at all is worth being passionate about. That's just the way I live. Now, to the points that were made earlier, I also believe that when it comes to celebrating, because like I said, where do I start? I've done many things in my life, coming from humble beginnings like all of us here. And I'm not one that clamors for titles, and titles are absolutely good and recognition is good. But I find that oftentimes in our community, okay, people that need to be recognized or have the light shone on them in our community sometimes are the ones that the light's not shining on. We do have a few people that, and why am I saying this? If a young man, if a young woman is going to be inspired and encouraged, and to have a role model that they can look up to and say, okay, yes, this person is African, but they still did this, they still got here, then we still don't have, we've not even started. We have not even started. It's one of the reasons I decided that I needed a career change, because I realized that although I had worked and gotten to work for some large corporations around the world, several countries, okay, each time I was in these places, there wasn't, not only was I just, token a person of color there, but if, for example, somebody went out to schools to bring kids to show them what we do as engineers, there weren't any kids coming from, my segment of the community. And that really bothered me for many years. But I mean, I couldn't really blame the person because it just happened that these companies were in places that the demographic was, I mean, you probably had just a handful of minorities living in that town or city. So there is a lot we have to do. This kind of work needs to be funded. And so that's why the kind of structure that you have at least is a very good start. Okay. But there's so much more that needs to be done. So is my time up? I don't know. I'm just having a rant today.
Please let you.
Okay.
No, it's brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. I know when you said you'd missed it, and I sent you the link, I knew you was going to join, and that was great. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on here.
It's always a delight to be here.
Oh, I think what you were saying and what you said in a nutshell basically is you've got to celebrate yourself. You've got to put yourself out there, and tough. If you don't like the way I come across, as long as I'm not insulting you, as long as I'm not degrading you in any way, shape, or form, deal with it. This is me.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're happy. We're happy to have you as you are.
Yeah, there aren't enough, and I mean, I personalize it, but it's not. This is not something. It's not about one person here. You understand what I'm saying? We just don't have enough. Those of us who have big personalities and succeed on whatever level, we need to be seen. We need to be out with our light needs not to be under a bushel, as the Bible says. But oftentimes we live in a society where we're paying so much attention to, let's keep it down. Let's not make somebody feel uncomfortable. And when we do that, the generations coming behind us that are looking for a role model, that are looking for someone to inspire them, we're dimming our light for our contemporaries, but the generations coming behind us are therefore not seeing it.
Yes.
You know, that's so, it's so wrong. It is so, I mean, how are we going to support ourselves and encourage each other? And I need this encouragement. I'll be, this, we all need it. I need it. How are we going to do it in a way that all of us that have put in the label have gotten something that can inspire anybody, regardless of their background, their race, or origin? How are we going to encourage such people? I don't know, because it seems that the way society is constructed means it's very hard. I can imagine what David Olusoga, the Yemisi MBE, those that have at least even gotten some recognition, I can imagine that what went into the work to get that was 3, 4, 5, 10 times, what, we have people that get MBEs that you think, well, MBE for what? What do they do? You understand what I'm saying? There are people that, get these things just because maybe they know somebody. And when you ask what they are doing that is of value, where it's most needed, you see, because it's not an absolute scale. How the people oftentimes look at just where you are. They don't look at where you're coming from. They don't look at the journey to get to that point. So yeah, I'm open to ideas and suggestions and resources, but I take my hat off to you for putting this together. That's why I come on. It's exciting, it's encouraging. I've missed it for a few weeks.
It's your support that's really great, and that's what we're saying, that when you have your own doing something, we need to start supporting each other.
Yes,
we need to aggressively, forget that we're aggressively talking, we need to passionately, aggressively support the work that each of us does. We need to celebrate each other. We need to bring us out. If you're not seeing my light, I will pull your light out. You're my sister, I will shine your light. If you're not shining it, I will big out that, girl, you're doing a good thing, and we've got to support you. And that's all we need to do. If you see young people, and I'm going back to that narrative, it's because it's like I know some people from our culture, you always pull your person along, and we need to do that. We need to do that, and not just, sometimes you say, what is she doing? Is she the first person that has done that one before? You're just making noise, Joe. Cora, make you pack yourselves, come out when you finish. Hello. We need to start the narrative. Changing that narrative really has to start from home. We're going back to PMB.
Thank you
Yes.
so much
whatever
for that.
starts from home.
Yeah,
Yes.
it
Yes.
really does. And what we, and obviously me and you sit outside of the forum and talk a lot. And we came up with something last night, and we said 5 bring 5.
Oh,
How
yeah.
many are we on this Zoom? There are 12 of us on this Zoom. If each of us brought 5 people, empowered them, shouted them out for whatever it is they're doing, that 60 people would have been elevated from level 1 to level 2.
Yeah.
If each of those people we brought bring another 5, can you imagine how our network will grow? If I said today, next week, each of you bring 5 people on the Zoom, upper week, each of those your 5 bring 5, this Zoom is going to be full, okay? Now, what we have to do as a people is we have to encourage each other, empower each other. If 5 of us are all selling nail polish, so be it. 5 of us selling the same nail polish have 5 different networks. So I always say there is enough room, there is enough piece of the cake for everybody. One thing our community does, which shoots us in the foot, is we are scared of each other. Okay, we see each other as the competition. Now, competition in business is supposed to be healthy. Competition is meant to make you do better, excel, push yourself, work hard. It's not supposed to make you step on people and stop them from ascending. So part of one of our initiatives, #TogetherWeCan, and we now put underneath that 5 bring 5. We are coming, what we want to do as an organization for our community, yeah, is come together and celebrate each other and push people. So we're looking at in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, we'll have those QCs, we'll have those judges, as you said, Taiwo, you don't see, children from our community come to see how amazing you are as an engineer. We'll need to get those kids in there.
Yes.
We'll start up the apprenticeship scheme, and we can come to you and say, right, Taiwo, we've got 3 young men who are very interested in engineering. How can you support them? We may let me see and say, right, you've attained MBE. Take us through the process. What message do you have for the youth? This is what we have to start doing as a community, building each other, building our children. We're talking about teaching our children the language. Why not? Each and every one of us on here speaks the language. So we start with our children, our nieces, we together, we can make this work. Okay, so we are going to be on for the next 3 Wednesdays. Now we've got 3 more Wednesdays left in October. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to be on to the last Wednesday in October. I'm going to ask everybody on here, on Facebook, on the Zoom, please invite 5 people to the Zoom, to Facebook for next week, Wednesday. Let's grow our community. Let's help our community. Let's empower each other. You see, when we stand like this, there is no holes. They can't get through. But when we're like this, it's so wide, they're getting through. And we're not elevating. Some of us have been in this country for so many years. We need to start making a difference. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's my input. And I just want to say, AP2, that's Sister Olukemi. I don't know if you can hear. I just wanted to welcome you. And
we need to welcome Stella Adetiba. She's very quiet on here. She hasn't spoken today, but it's her first day, and you're very welcome. We're happy to have you on board.
On the chat. Yes, Stella has just spoken on the chat. This has been a heated and informative and mind-blowing discussion which will enlighten our community. If only this can get out there. Stella,
please don't leave messages. Please speak. Let's hear your voice. We actually ask people not to leave messages so that we can hear what you've got to say.
Stella, if you're able to unmute yourself and let us hear from you, that would be amazing. If you are indisposed, we would also understand, but we do like to hear from you. So I'm going to ask you to unmute if you can.
Hello, this is Olukemi.
Oh, Olukemi, good evening.
Hi, how are you? I've been here all along. I've been listening to the conversation.
Brilliant.
And it's been very interesting. I've just been quiet today because I've just got so many other stuff going on, and so, but I've been listening, and I think I just have one contribution to make, which, the moment I start talking, I don't stop. So that's why I muted myself so I don't get involved, but I have to talk now. I think as the proverb says, you have to start from home. The Yoruba say that for you to look good outside, it has to start from home. And I always say that you need to go back to the root. And that's, even the Bible says, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? It starts from home. And that is what a lot of people have been saying, that we are the people that we need to build our children. We are the people that we need to build our friends. And before you can go out there and expect anybody to build you up, and if at home, your children, they don't even know their values, you need to tell them their uncles, their aunties, their history, about what, where they are from. And little things like maybe your child comes from school or from out, and they're like, oh, somebody said this. And you just have to tell them, this is the child of person you are. These are where, your uncle, they might not be here. They might be in Nigeria. They might be in Ghana. They might be anywhere else. But this is you. You're not just ordinary person. Don't start going out there and behaving like you're just any other person. And the moment you start instilling that in your child, then they will know. And also to be able to appreciate, their origin. They're from Africa. You can't take that away from them. And as one of the things I'm really happy about is that when you go to parties now, you see all these young people, young adults dancing to this Nigerian music. I'm always impressed. I'm always happy, and I'll leave the stage for them. And when you see them wearing really nice Nigerian clothes or Ghanaian clothes, you appreciate that. And it comes from home. So the moment you start instilling this in your child from home, and it will spread, then they'll be able to raise up their head, wherever they are, even though they will try as much as possible to put them down and say things about them. But, it's still there. They will rise up again. The resilience will be there. They will spring back, to be proud of who they are. I think that's just my contribution for today.
Awesome.
Thank you
so much. That was amazing. Thank you for that input. Okay, so yeah, I like what you said. It does have to start from home. You obviously we know that old adage, charity begins at home. And then once you see, if your house is not tidy, you can't go to somebody's house and be tidying. That makes you a bit of a hypocrite. So it does make sense for you to tidy yours, and then you go outside and tidy. I've always been a very big advocate of empowering people. I always say my first prayer is, God bless me, but don't bless me if I can't bless others, because then you can't enjoy the blessing. And that's a personal opinion. Others might feel different. But it's always been something like that. I can't have a pack of sweets and eat it by myself. And that's how we are. This is how we are. We're a communal kind of people. We enjoy that. It's not my house. You don't need to call me and say, Giz, can I come around? You just need to knock on the door and my door's open, and that's how we need to be as a people. Let's not get it twisted. Helping somebody, we're not just talking about financial help, okay? You help, you empower, you enlighten, you educate, you listen. Our community, guys, are suffering severely from depression. We don't know this because we don't talk about it. We were raised not to talk about it. We were raised to be a very strong community. Get on with it. Okay, we're changing the narrative. We want you to talk about it, and this is why we're saying, And I keep saying it, hashtag together we can. We're not an island. We never will be an island. We have to come together. So yes, Yemisi said she doesn't call herself a Black person. She calls herself an African person. The Caribbeans call themselves, I'm from the Caribbean. You know, that is our identity. Let's stick to it. Let's be proud of it. Let's shout it from the rooftop. When we go out into these meetings, cultural competency, let's teach them. You have so many different cultures within the United Kingdom. If they can learn those cultures, they can learn our culture. Okay, say our names. My name is Ngozi Chukuka. God's blessing is great. I'm proud of it. I answer gifts. I answer gifts because that's a pet name given to me by my father. My name is Ngozi. I'm very proud of it. All my children answer their Nigerian names. They're very proud of it. Okay, so you know, guys, let's do this. Let's raise our shoulder. Let's be proud when we walk out there. You know, if we do this, they will look at us different. They will treat us the way we want to be treated. Very important. And just to say, we are running this program for the whole of October, Wednesdays now. It's nice to be here on a Wednesday. So spread the word. Remember, talk to 5 people. Get as many of those 5 people on Zoom. And the person that can get me 5 people, next week, Wednesday, I have a surprise for them. Next week, Wednesday, and don't cheat me, because I'm very smart. Bring 5 people, give me the 5 names, and I have a surprise for you. Okay, I really want to grow the community. I want to create an impact. I want to help people. Yes, I'm going to. Is that Sarah again? I'm going to ask you.
No, it's Adetiba.
Okay,
Stella.
Stella, unmute and yeah. Hi, Stella. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's nice to be able to join this forum and be my first time. I just felt that I should just listen and see how things are done.
Okay.
So it's been quite informative, and I really thank you lot for putting this together. It's quite enlightening as well. I'm very engaging.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Nice to have you on board, and you are welcome as your first time. And we are here every Wednesday, as I said, so please feel free. It's an open house. Feel free to come on every Wednesday, 6 to 8, and engage.
Thank you.
It's really nice to hear when someone says it's the first time I listened. It's very engaging, and you know, it's really good. So thank you.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think, what time do we have there, guys?
Can we just
I just want to add something.
Okay, go on then.
Yeah. No, we're talking about identity and knowing where you're from and all that. One thing about those of us who are from the Caribbean, we always say home. No matter what, we were born here, no matter, we're going home. We're going back home. I'm sending something home. Home, home, home. So sometimes the kids look at me, Mom, where is home? And it's going back to, we are so proud of where we're from that when we meet another person from the same island, it's a little celebration. you know, when I walk into a workplace, I think, or when I walked into, when I started in the council, and I walked into the office, and I'm just there, and then this lady came up to me and said, "Where are you from?" And my first instinct is St. Vincent. I'm not saying London, but no, St. Vincent. And they said, "Oh my God." And she jumped up and she hugged me, and we were dancing around the office. And people were like, "Oh, are you mad?" And said, "Well, it's the first Vincentian I'm seeing in East London, so I have to celebrate." So it's really very important for us to celebrate ourselves.
Yes.
And remember where we're from.
Yes.
Now, in the workplace, people would know I'm from the West Indies, but they get confused because my work attire is African dresses. So they get even more confused. So then I'll say, I may have been born in the Caribbean, but my heritage is back there. You know, what I'm wearing, this is part of me identifying where my ancestors came from. And that's
Yeah.
what we really need. If we can't embrace this, we are lost.
Yeah.
We have to embrace, and no matter where in the world we go, we are lost if we can't embrace this. You know, someone mentioned about the languages. Some cultures, they speak their languages all the time. Why don't, why as Black people that you feel that you can't speak your own language? Every Asian family I know speak their language.
Fact.
Some people don't speak English at all, and what's wrong with identifying with where you're from
Yeah.
through your language? So let's continue to embrace where we're from.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcia. Just quickly, I
Awesome.
want to recognize one of our other directors. Adebola Ahmed is in the house. Please unmute yourself. With this your lovely dress, which I'm coming to steal very soon.
I know. I was watching that.
Adebola, are you there? Yes, of course she is.
Yeah,
You
I
just
am.
thought you would oppress us with that lovely attire. Well,
Oh, you don't want to know. The lockdown has made that attire unwearable now, you know.
Same everywhere.
Yeah, I think I just have to keep myself to say that that's my goal to aim for.
Yeah. Nice to have you on board.
Yeah, same here. Thank you. Interesting conversations.
You missed the first part. We would have loved to have gotten some of your perspective on Black History Month in the field, but I mean, not a problem. If you can.
I picked on what you said. Is Yemi that said it? I think. And,
I'm here.
and then and I picked on what you said about obviously working together with everyone and involving let's work together, let's help each other, let's rub off each other. And I just wondered if we could have a spotlight per month where we are spotlighting a particular organization or particular group and bring them in just for that, because what I seem to think that we do is we have a topic and we go for that topic, and that might just fall nicely with going for that topic and looking for someone within that topic, like when Marcia brought that guy, the dance guy.
Impact.
And we focused on him just for obviously to talk about what he was doing. I think that would allow us to increase a network, because either way, one of the key things is those people will come and you tell them, if you're coming, invite some of your people, because what happens is when people come on this Zoom, they don't know what they're going to get. It's only when they get here that they see what's going on. And that might be an interesting way of it. I'm kind of linking it to when I'm sorry I have to use this scenario. I'm really sorry. And it's not in any way. I'm kind of linking it to like when you have a church program. And they invite a guest speaker, and the guest speaker brings their own people. And the whole church kind of gets filled up based on the fact, everyone is, we have to use that same dramatic style of inviting people, and that's one. And then maybe we should think about also, we're talking about, because obviously especially in this Black History Month, a lot of things about reinforcing positive affirmations with our young people, making them feel special. So organizations that are into giving awards, recognizing the achievements. I mean, it was Taiwo that was saying that some Black people don't get recognized enough for what they do. And I know that there is a particular organization that I am aware of called, is actually owned by a friend, called True Little Heroes, where they give awards to, once a year, they organize an award ceremony in Newham in collaboration with Newham. And what they do is they use that program to give awards to young people in different fields, academics, sports, different things. I think we need someone like that you know, coming to this program. I'm definitely going to tell her that she
Good.
should come on, and maybe we could do a spotlight on her, because again, that program is not used enough. Not a lot of Black children, and what you tend to recognize is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, psychologists did some tests on two sets of groups. One group were given the same test papers, and the group A were told that you did absolutely woefully in this test, and group B were told that they did fantastically. Meanwhile, in reality, group A did really well and group B didn't do as well. So they gave them another set of papers, and in fulfilling that prophecy, group A that were praised for doing well did well, and group B that actually did really well, they failed, because now they didn't see any benefits in going on. So I think we really need a lot of things to reinforce. If we're going to change the narrative for Black people, we need to start encouraging each other. We need to start lifting each other up. We need to start spotlighting each other, celebrating each other, making it very important that we're saying we're really proud of you, brother. We're really proud of you, sister, for what you're doing, and we really want to support you. And that focus will be just on that person for that program. I just think that's something that we can add. I don't know if that makes sense.
Thank you so much, Adebola. And what that does is brings me as a director of programs, which I'm sure you know, and we basically lined that up. This program will be live in December. So yes, it makes a lot of sense with what you said. And we have this program which will be going live in December, which Saffron will be doing. So we're actually at the moment now, you know, we're actually contacting people who we are going to showcase, but we wanted to leave that for December. So it runs the whole of December and it gets us ready to build those partnerships for 2021. So yeah, thank you so much for highlighting that. That is amazing. And it's the only way, you know, we can grow ourselves. It's the only way we can expand. It's also an amazing way to empower and engage and elevate one another. And then we now see who is out there. You know, there could be organizations out there like this one you're talking about, the Truly Heroes in Newham. You know, we could bring them on and engage with them. And as you said, they're not doing as amazingly as one would hope. You know, the tides could change once they engage with Saffron. There could be other people out there who require engagement with people on the Zoom. There could be people on the Zoom who could engage with whoever we bring on, and we do things with each other and for each other to benefit the community and the society at large. So thank you so much for bringing that up. I'm going to go to you, Taiwo, just before we close. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming back to me. Just following up from what Adebola said, I'm just I don't know how to phrase the question, if it is a question, but what I observe in my world, okay, which has different strands. I've got the church-related strand to a small extent, lesser extent these days. I've got my engineering strand. I've got my physical community strand. You know, and each strand is doing something to reach out to a segment of the community. Now, depending on what the who set up the strand and what they do, it would have a sort of captive audience, but there'll be young people that need that could benefit, that they're just not able to reach. Right. So let me give you one example. So on LinkedIn, there is now an association of Black professional engineers or something like that, which, because I'm a chartered engineer on LinkedIn, I came across. But the irony is that that's an organization which would mostly benefit someone who is maybe 18, 19, going in to do an engineering degree, right. You know, but oftentimes because they've not, you know, maybe even set up a LinkedIn profile, those people, yeah, you see. So my sort of anxiety sometimes, for use that word, comes from the fact that sometimes, either by virtue of where most of the groups that are at least trying to do things like Saffron, because of where they're located in the cybersphere, whatever, sometimes the people, it's a matching process, isn't it? And sometimes the captive audience, I'm sure there are hundreds, if not thousands of kids, for example, that, if they came on with their parents, that would be really encouraged, motivated, inspired by being on this forum. Okay. The question is, okay, so how do we reach them? Yes, individually, I could think of people to invite, but that's still sort of limited in the scheme of things. So what I'm curious about is there a way, and I'll go away and think about this myself, whereby organization to organization, there can be a better connect? Because I think this is one of the things that we need to do. I teach business, and much of what I do now, I do with a thought of how I can solve the entrenched business problems, but that in a way that they will serve the community,
Sure.
because that's where a lot of what we do falls down. So I advise some small business owners, for example, and I'm thinking I need to be doing this more often, even more professionally, because I'd like to think that they come to me because I give good advice, and they come to me. And I'm thinking, okay, I've learned a few things, and one or two people find that useful to the point where they always come to me for, business advice. And I'm thinking, okay, and they're doing well as a result of that. And I'd like that to spread, for example, but I'm not really marketing it, or I don't have any ads, or I don't have a marketing budget.
Let me bring Yemi in. Yemi, can you please answer that for us? Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Yemi's going to answer. Tyrone, go ahead.
Okay, nudge me. I don't know. We've actually discussed this previously, that we needed to reel Taiwo into SaffronSACAP and get you to support us in supporting our youth. So she said that because this is something we've talked about. Thank you, Kiz. And you've just put your foot in it. So we're just going to tie that knot around the foot and hook you up.
Done. The reason why I threw you to Yemi is because on a serious note, this is what formed the basis of what we are doing. Okay, you come on the forum, you haven't been on for a few weeks, you've remembered Saffron is on. Now you brought something that is so valuable and that is going to create a massive impact within our community. Okay, but guess what? You came to us. You understand? And this is why we have what we have. What we're not going to do is say, right, you have to do this. You don't have to. You've come because you want to. There's a yearning for you to, and that is what we want as an organization. We want to work with people, partnership, collab with you to create that impact. Now, what you didn't know, which you will find out now, is we have a youth wing, which is launching in 2021, Stepping Up. Okay, so automatically you have just built yourself in my community. So application form has been signed. You know when you headhunt, you've just been headhunted. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers to that. Thank you.
That's what I'm talking about when I say,
yes.
That's what I'm talking about when I say, we've got to come together. So I want to just say thank you. Thank you for putting that.
Thank you for that tribute. Thank you.
I personally think that we will work together, and I know, I feel it already, that you're going to be
I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing person for this youth. And there's not enough male mentors. I'm very sure.
I know.
Adebola, you can back me up on this. There's not enough male mentors out there for our young Black boys. There isn't. So
I
to
know,
have
I know.
somebody like you,
Mm.
you know what? I'm done. I can sleep tonight. You know,
Okay.
I can sleep tonight.
Oh,
So
thank
thank
you
you so
so
much.
much.
And we
Yes.
will be in touch with you very
Thank you.
soon. Me and
I
Yemi, we're
appreciate
like
it.
dogs with a bone. You
I
know.
look forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Geese, can I
Yes.
just ask, because Taiwo raised something. He was
Sure.
saying, I'm sure if I'm getting the angle of that question very well,
Mhm.
is is asking how the branding for Saffron is going all out there. Is that right? In terms of the social media? Because I think I picked on that as soon as he started raising that question and he started talking about
Yes.
the group.
Yeah.
I think it's about the branding. And I
Yes.
think the branding is what we put Saffron stamp out there
Yep.
and not make it just an African thing. Because when I was talking, I think I kind of clued in on the fact that when I was talking about church, African, we bring Africans in it. But but we, in terms of when you go to church, but I think what he's talking about is a wider sphere, which covers Caribbean, West African, East Africa, all. And I know that that's what we're all about. And if I was going to come, I would invite 5 friends that are my friends, but then they
Yeah.
could come from my background.
That's
But
fine.
what I think is talking about is how we fish wider. Am I
Okay.
right in that, Taiwo? Or is
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, my question, you spurred me on. Really, was what you said earlier. So, but yes, that is a way to put it, because I think, if I may say, the branding of Saffron currently as it stands some people would just see it and walk past. They won't get what we stand for. From, I've been on a few times now, so I know what Saffron. But if I hadn't stopped by, I was, Saffron and the African child. I think the definition is a bit too narrow, if I may just
Okay.
say.
Can I just stop you there? Can I
Yeah.
just stop both of you there for a minute? Okay. We
Mm,
set up Saffron for a reason.
yeah.
And I'm going to say what the reason is, because within the community, with my background in childcare and health and social care, right? The African and the Black community, there are severe safeguarding issues.
Yes.
A very high representation of African and Black children, in the social system, in the care system. Okay. Our niche, this is our niche. It's not changing. This is our niche. Okay.
Okay.
This is the niche. And what I've said, and I've always said on our Zooms, is you have various communities within the UK who only stay within that community, unashamedly so. And there's a reason why they do that. Okay. What we need to learn to do as a community, I love and respect everybody. I believe in inclusion, but my vision was for the Black and the African child. Okay. When they set up the BAME in the 1960s, it was for a particular group of people. Am I right? So BAME was not for the Caucasian community. That's what you guys have to understand. The BAME focused on a particular community. What we have gone further to say is, okay, that's fine, but out of that BAME, we've had to take out our African and Black community and focus on them and get them straight. That is our niche. That is our focus. That is only going to be our focus. But we have also stated that if any referral comes from outside of our community, we will not say no.
No.
But our focus remains what it is. We are unashamedly
bridging the gap here.
For that, we need to bridge that gap, guys.
Yes. Can I just respond to that? And thank you for that explanation. And that's a great explanation. I wasn't, when I was talking about the with or narrow, I wasn't even referring to the A in the BAME. As Africans and as Black people, we're a very heterogeneous community. So even within that, the spectrum of who we are, you know, by virtue of maybe the walks of life in which we, you know, show up and so on, is quite broad. And what I want to see is to see us touch as much of that expanse as possible.
Sure.
That's what my passion is. So it's not maybe just we're not maybe just for argument's sake, if we were all going to church on Sunday and bringing our church friends, then we might be church heavy, you know. Then it might be that our Muslim brothers and sisters miss out. Okay, so there might be, or if it's in terms of professions, if I was also a child protection services consultant, you know, then we're speaking the same language, and I don't have a different dimension through which I can inspire young people to various other careers and stuff, you know. So it's just so we have as much ground covered.
Oh, yes.
Because as you know, the generations coming behind us, you know, they're into everything.
Yes, you're saying
you know?
exactly the same thing. From the day when we started the Zooms, if you joined each and every Zoom we've ever done, we've had a very vast array of professionals. You know, so we've had policemen, we've had teachers, we've had social workers, you know, we have child protection practitioners. It's been vast. And this is what we've said in Saffron, you know, it's across the board. But obviously we are focused on that our niche. But as far as you know, professions and people's educational backgrounds are concerned, it's a very wide array, very, very wide, and not just from the United Kingdom. We've had people from, you know, outside of the United Kingdom join the Zooms as well. So we get different perspectives on whatever social issues we discuss from those different demographics as well. So yeah.
Can I say something, guys?
Yes.
I think we're all saying the same thing. I think we are with you that this is for Black African. I think when I picked on the fact that he was talking about branding, I'm just saying that the branding in terms of what we are for needs to not, because even within the Nigerian community, for instance, we've got people that are Muslims, Christians, traditionalists, different kind of religions are being practiced. In West African community, there are different types. East Africa, you know, West Africa is not just Nigeria, there's Ghana there, there's others, there's South Africa. So that's what I'm saying, is that in terms of, that's what I picked up on, that we were branding, we need to make sure that that brand goes out to everyone, and maybe do it more often, and maybe do it on more social media, so that people do know what we're about, and maybe try and get people from all of those other communities, because the more people we will interact with where they see people like themselves, or if they see people from their culture in it. So for instance, if we have people that come from East Africa, like we're talking about showcasing, they come and talk about what's going on in within the East African community, some of these cases, and we can discuss on it on the platform. I think you're right. I think you can't go further than the African community, because it's quite big. African, even that alone is big and expansive, and I'm not even sure how far and wide we can cover it, but we can. That's the principle of Saffron. Yes, we can, and we can together. We can. So, but it's just about how we start to include all these other communities that are not now included, so that we can move this forward with a passion and everything that Saffron stands for. And I think we are with you on this, and this is exactly what it is all about. But it's just about that expansion, that publicity, so that, because I think, like you said earlier in the program, you want more people coming, but we just don't want more people just from the Nigerian community coming. We want more people from the East African community. We want more people from the West. We want from different. We want Togolese. We want Zimbabweans. We want Kenyans.
You know what? Demola, what you're saying is absolutely correct. And we have all these people. We actually have a couple of professionals who are not here today, and they should have been, one Tanzania and the Congolese, and these we're connecting with these people who then connect with their communities. Because if you ask me, unless I connect with those people, we can't then connect with those communities because we're not in those communities. So the communities that we have arms in, like we've got Marcia, so we've got those links into the Caribbean and islands, and then we have the Ghanaian social work professionals as well, who we've connected with through Auntie Ama, who actually delivered one of her papers with us a couple of weeks ago. So it's about making those connections. It's like you want to go to the rural areas. You don't carry, like I said, you don't carry your microphone and go there. Somebody might just bring you down. You go to the leaders within those communities, and then those leaders then go to those communities. And that's the way it's working, or that's the model that we're using. And we just continue working on it and pushing. If you have contacts in other communities, please bring them in. This is all about Black African, the Caribbeans, the Ghanaians, the Congolese, everywhere. Just if you are of African descent, please log in. The house is ready to receive you. So and also about reaching our social media, we actually launching our YouTube channel very soon. I botched up my laptop yesterday. That's why we were talking about you, Taiwo, if your ears were burning. We said we need to get Taiwo to come and help us sort out all this, because I'm only so far able to do so much technically. So we're coming down your lane, Taiwo. So we have overrun. Hallelujah. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody that has come on. Adebola, you've been amazing as always. Your insights into all our topics, we thank you. Tolulope, thank you. Jacqueline, thank you. Our sanctuary is in the house today. Thank you for listening in. Taiwo, as always, it's amazing to have you on. We will be back next Wednesday.
Hello, I was going to say from the sanctuary, it's me, Steve Kerr.
This is Steve Kerr. This is my pastor. It's so nice to have you on board. Thank you so much, because it's I know you're also really busy. So thank you so much. And please join us next week, Wednesday, if possible, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You know, like we said, it's for everybody from our community, from the Black and African community. So please, bring five. Remember, there's a present for the first person that can bring me 5 people next week, Wednesday. I was you smiling. So it's been nice. Please, everybody.
I have a long list of people, you know, so I have a long list of people, and I'm thinking of sequencing them. Which ones are likely to respond, you see? So
the more people we have on, the more change we can effect within the community.
Exactly.
And that's what this is about. We just want to make the change. We want to create an impact, and we can only do this when we come together. So please, 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 it's been amazing to have everybody on. Please stay safe out there, everybody, and we will see you all again next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So on behalf of SaffronSACAP, I want to say, have a good evening, good night, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.